The banks are really starting to gear up for foreclosures. Hey everybody, Scott Walters. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I want to thank you for coming. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. As a licensed realtor in the biggest housing bubble that has ever been produced in history, I've been living in the twilight zone. It has been absolutely insane working in real estate. Got me to the point where I came to YouTube, started giving straight talk, warning people to be careful in these times. I don't want to see anybody spend their life savings on a down payment or one blip in the economy or their income could send them into a tailspin, and now they're dragging a depreciated asset along for the ride until finally they lose the property and all the money they put down on it. Having gone through that myself in 2008, I sleep much better at night, warning people, please be careful in these times. We're in an artificially stimulated market due to government stimulus programs and stimulus spending. So before we get into this red hot topic, I am going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And please watch to the end for what should be my final thought, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when my new videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very, very tricky times. All right, folks, so let's go ahead and unpackage another hot one. So here's the deal, folks. The fiscal cliffs that we've been watching with eviction bans, mortgage forbearance, unemployment benefits, and foreclosure bans all ending. We just had the eviction ban end. We're going to see unemployment benefits end. We're going to see mortgage forbearance no longer available for people to take. And the big one that brought us here today, foreclosure bans. Many people don't realize that banks have been unable to foreclose. We've never seen that in history. And the banks are nervous. The banks are carrying a lot of, even though they're cash heavy right now, they have a lot of distressed properties on their books, even though the type of distressed property was mortgage forbearance. It's still, even though the government has bailed them out, just like they always will, they're bailing out the stock market with the amount of stimulus they're pumping in to keep these markets alive. You have to understand this is an artificial market we're living in. There is nothing organic about this. Even back in, at least back in 2008, you know, we didn't have we weren't propped up the way we are now with stimulus. It came later after the crash. Well, now we are just completely in an artificially created market with euphoria through the roof. And the thing is with the banks, folks, as a licensed realtor who pays big dues and fees to be a licensed realtor and to work in real estate, I get targeted by banks constantly trying to onboard agents to handle what their distressed properties that they're going to go to market with. They're going to take these properties back from people. If these people don't make themselves current and any back fees paid up, they're forced to market. And basically, it won't even matter. Their banks are positioning themselves to take those properties and get to market. It's the craziest dynamic that I've ever seen. The amount of banks, and again, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room in terms of commercial real estate on their books as well. So many companies had loans against their business loans and their real estate. And if you go to any major mall in America right now, you're going to see an astronomical amount of for lease signs in the windows. And you don't even have to go to a mall to see this. You can drive down any business sector of any city, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to see a lot of for lease signs, which means those places are sucking air, which means somebody's not collecting payments, which means some bank's not being paid potentially. So what we're seeing is these I'm getting interagent emails constantly trying to recruit agents to come be trained to sell distressed properties. And listen, folks, so much information here. This is a tricky one. Agents are going to have to learn how to sell in a down market. Right now, there's a lot of agents. Oh man, I feel bad for them. I see them out there spending like this market's going to last forever. They're underneath big house payments themselves, big car payments, living just like back in 2008. The whole industry was so euphoric. Even people in the industry got crushed and squashed like a bug because they weren't prepared for a different type of market. The only people in the industry that survived and did well were people that knew how to operate in that market. And what's going to happen, it's really hard to operate in a downed market when you yourself are throwing stuff overboard, trying to get light and weather this storm, and you start losing your stuff. It's really hard to be a clear, laser-focused agent helping people strategically get on or off market when you yourself are in that same boat. So this is going to be where we separate the men from the boys, and a lot of people will fall on the wayside. That's why I always say, create multiple income streams, no matter how big or small they are. Your employment income is usually your biggest form of income. Please start putting other safety nets in place and do what you can. And I'm not saying dumping it into the stock market or cryptos is the right thing to do. Now, while it's okay to have a small percentage there, this is almost a form of gambling. And like I like to say, even though I'm not a gambling man, do not gamble more money than you are prepared to lose, because that is what is potentially going to happen to some of your money in those sectors. If the real estate market crashes, everything crashes. My advice and final thoughts, God, I already come up for air once, coming up again, is it might not be a bad idea to learn how to make some money the old-fashioned way, with some side hustles, and just get ready if you can buy and flip any products, whether it's cars. It was such a digital age we're in. We just rely on everything to be digital. There is nothing wrong with trying to go to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Look for places that you can buy something and flip it, even if it's not the huge numbers you want. Listen, folks, there is nothing wrong with doing a side hustle. And in my opinion, folks, you need to learn how to do this, because if there's a huge global crash, this is what we could be reduced to. If the internet crashes, everything crashes, right? So you just have to be ready. So my advice is now again, I understand if you don't want to go spend 5, 10, 20 grand on a car and see if you can flip it for 1 or 2 or 3 grand, but it's not a bad idea. Start with a bicycle, start with TV, start with anything you can and see if you can scoop up some merchandise cheap and flip it and just learn how to do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, and you can, if you want to, do Uber or one of these other side hustles, great. Learn how, just in case. Go make a little money that way. Do your best to create some other income streams other than the false sense of wealth you've created in maybe real estate that's up at the moment, because if that goes down, that went bye-bye. Stocks, if that's up right now and it goes down, well, that went bye-bye. If you can learn how to provide a product or a service, this is a good thing to have. Do what you can right now to start making the mental shift to think that way. I think it's a really smart idea right now to earn some money the old-fashioned way. Go flip some stuff, learn how to offer a product or a service, whatever you can do. I think it's really smart. There's nothing wrong with it. You need to have more than one income stream. And if the bottom falls out, you need to know how to make money in any market. That's the alarm I'm going to sound. I'm going to continue to sound it. So thank you for watching today. I really appreciate your time. Go make it count, and we'll see you on the next video.